So you mentioned you came back to the faith. How did that happen?
Yeah, so I fell away from the faith for 8 years.
How old were you when that happened?
I was 11, 12-ish.
And is there a reason you fell away?
Yeah, there was a lot of stuff happening in the church at the time. I had just been confirmed at that point. I got slapped by Cardinal Sarah.
Nice.
You know how they slap you during confirmation.
Good.
It was great. I actually just recently saw him. He's doing well.
Cool.
But yeah, I got confirmed, and then that was 2011. That's when a lot of the sex scandals started kind of like picking up a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And so we fell away, and I mean, I was like, yes, no more mass. I don't have to sit through it for an hour. I can text my friends. I can do sleepovers. I don't have to worry about anything. You know, I mean, that's what I thought.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, I'm free. You know, I can have sleepover Saturday and the Sunday now. I don't have to worry about it. God became kind of like a thing in the back of my mind. Like, I knew he existed, but I was just like, I'm not a part of the church anymore. I don't have any consequences. Obviously, as like a 12-year-old, I was just like, I can do what I want.
Yeah.
So for 8 years, that's what I did. Like, I was in and out of rough crowds. I never did drugs or sex before marriage or any. My dad instilled a lot of good values into me as a young person, where I was like, I saw what drugs and alcohol and all those things did to my friends, and I'm like, I don't want that for me. I don't want that for them. But they're grown people. Like, they can make their. I talk like 12 people, like they're grown people. 12-year-olds are not grown people. You don't stop growing until you're like 25. But that's not true. But I'm not a scientist. But I was like, I saw what it did to my friends. I saw how so many of my friends were becoming alcoholics at the age of 16. I saw reckless driving. I saw all these things. And so I became the mom friend. I instantly put myself in that situation where I was just like, you need crackers? I got you. You need a drive home? I got you. You need money for gas and you're on the south side of Chicago? I'm coming to get you. Like, I did not care about myself. I only cared about the well-being of others. Even though I wouldn't do those things, I neglected my own boundaries with them in order to make sure they were safe. When in reality, they made those decisions themselves and they would have to face the consequences for those decisions. But I tried to keep those consequences away because I loved them and they were my friends. Unfortunately, they did not feel the same way. They would walk over me like all the time. They were just like, I need money. You know, it wasn't even like, hey, can you come pick me up? It was like, I need a ride. You know, it stopped being like, oh my gosh, thank you so much for helping me out. It became like, I need help now. Like, come get me. And so when people stopped kind of appreciating it just became like second nature. That's when I was kind of like, like, can I have some appreciation for driving an hour to come and get you because you're drunk, you know? Like, and there was just like no appreciation for it. And so slowly, like, I just kind of accepted it and just got walked over by everybody. I got bullied a lot in high school. I had like no self-respect basically. And because I didn't know my worth at that point. You know, when you're 12, you're going into puberty, you're going through all of that. You get hit with you know, there's other girls that look like me but prettier. I need to wear more makeup. I need to wear this outfit. I need to look a certain way because you're trying to find your niche. You're trying to figure out where you fit in, what you like to do. And without God in your heart, without God in your mind, you're really led astray because he gives us those set rules. He gives us like, don't do this, don't do that, you know? And if we don't have those rules and we don't know truly that we are a child of God in our heart, we allow the world to come in and tell us who we are. And the world never tells us good things. So for me, that's what happened. Like I got eating disorders. I became depressed and anxious, self-harm, like just everything under the sun I struggled with. Nobody knew because when you really do struggle with a mental illness, the only people who really know are close to you, you know? And so I struggled with that for years. And then I get seasonal depression too. And so when I turned 18, I had the worst seasonal depression of my life, not counting last year because I also had desolation, but it's a different story. But I was in my bright pink room. No, I think it was turquoise actually. And I looked over at my pug and donut poster, which is like my calendar. And I looked at it and it was Sunday. And I was just like, Sunday, like I have so much to do today. I have school, I have this. And I was like, but you know what? It's Sunday. Like, we used to go to church when I was a kid. So I decided on a whim just to go to church. It was random. So random.
You drove? Did you tell your folks you were going?
No, I don't think I really told anybody. I think my mom knew though, because like why else would I wear a long skirt and
It's
a veil?
so cool that young
Like,
people are sneaking off to church.
Yeah. It's just like, I'm not going to go do drugs. Bye, Mom. But yeah, and I should mention before that, I actually found my childhood rosary randomly that I lost for like 8 years. And I found it, I started praying it. So before that, so I probably should mention that, like, Our Lady definitely helped lead me back to her son. And I go to church. It's a Novus Ordo parish, but I don't know anything, and I go to Novus Ordo too, reverent, but I sat in the back, and I don't remember if I was late or not, but I remember I really wasn't paying attention at all. I was really too scared to be there because I felt like everyone was staring at me. They're like, we know she doesn't go here. Like, you can't sit with us, like, I wasn't in the niche. I didn't know anybody. And so I didn't start paying attention until I had a conversion in front of the Eucharist where the priest raises the host. And I felt Jesus speak into my heart. He's like, do you trust me?
Was this at Holy Mass that day or a different day?
No, this day.
Okay.
Yeah. And I was like, hello? I was like, who? Hello, Jesus? And he literally was just like, do you trust me? And I was like, no. What are you talking about? I was just like, you're the reason that I have all these problems. Like, why would you let me go through all of this? Like, my friends hate me, even though I do everything to try to help them. I'm depressed. I'm anxious. I was rattling off stuff in my head. I was like, I was probably burning a hole through the Eucharist. I was like, and I was just so angry. And, and then he just kept asking, like, do you trust me? Do you trust me? And I was just like, nope. Probably went on for a good 15 minutes. I'm going to be honest. I'm really hard-headed. But my heart at that point had become stone cold. I was mad. I was angry. I was depressed. I felt like I was on my own. I felt abandoned by God, even though I'm the one that abandoned him. And slowly, Jesus took like a chisel and a hammer and he just kind of like cracked away at my little heart. And eventually I was like, I can try. And at that time, I didn't even know about Divine Mercy. I prayed it as a kid, but it didn't even register. And so I was like, I can try, and I will try. And so after that day, I decided I am really actually going to try because I felt a sense of peace at that Mass that I never felt before. Being able to say like, okay, Jesus, I'm going to try and trust you. It's not a commitment. It's not like, yes, I will trust you. It's a stepping stone. And that's what he asks. He reaches his hand out and he says, take my hand. And then he leads us, and that's what he was doing. He was reaching his hand out to me. He's just like, you don't have to take it, but you should. And so I was just like, okay, maybe. So it's like a little kid holding on to their dad's pinky finger, basically. I'm like, maybe. And ever since then, I've been pursuing my faith. I've been growing in it. I've been trying to get better in it. And I found out about Divine Mercy. And actually the first talk I ever gave was on Divine Mercy Sunday. And I didn't know it was Divine Mercy Sunday. And I gave that talk and they're like, did you know it was Divine Mercy Sunday? And I was like, what?
Feels like something I should have known before I gave the talk, but I'm glad it came full circle.
It was so crazy. It's happened twice where we also had, I gave a talk on St. Gianna.
Yeah.
And it was also St. Gianna's feast day.
Oh, wow.
And then I gave a talk on mental health and it was St. Dymphna's feast day. Yeah. I have no idea. I don't know these things. It just happens. But in an essence, that's kind of the story of how I ended up coming back.
If you don't mind. Thank you very much for watching that clip. Before you go, do us a favor, click like, click subscribe, and if this really meant something to you, help us out by sharing it.